All right, hey, Narendra here, and I just wanted you to welcome you to week 2, where I talk all about gear. So this is a pretty comprehensive guide to what you need for day hiking and climbing up 14ers. So let's get right into it. As soon as I can figure out how this thing can move. Okay, there we go. All right, so before we get into the nuts and bolts of each individual item, I just want to share with you my gear takeaways from the past 10 years. So this is basically 10 years of learning and failing and breaking a bunch of things and spending a ton of money. You know, if you come away from anything from this presentation, just know these 10 things and you'll be in pretty good shape. So first of all, you know, you definitely do need to spend money on gear. It's obviously important, but you need to spend your hard-earned money on the right stuff. So, you know, I spend the most of my money on shoes. Well, I wear trail runners, so I spend my money on shoes or boots, if that's what you wear, and a backpack. So definitely don't skimp on there. And in terms of shoes, make sure you are getting your shoes properly fitted. And there's actually places that I can recommend that you can actually go to get your gait or your walk videoed so you can get fitted properly. So that's that. And then, you know, obviously with shoes, they're critical, right? Because if you have blisters, if you hurt your foot, you know, that's what you need to walk, obviously. So spend the right money on shoes or boots if that's what you wear, and a backpack. Make sure you get a really good backpack, and I'll show those in a couple seconds, but I use Osprey. So if you're going to spend the most money on gear, make sure it's shoes and a backpack when you're starting out. Water bladders are definitely worth their weight in gold. And I'll add just one caveat that in winter, these things tend to freeze. So just be smart about when you do bring a water bladder. But in summer conditions, you know, you get dehydrated in high country. Water bladders are super important to stay hydrated, and you know, make sure you do get one that fits within your pack. So you spend the least amount of money on rain gear and accessories for sure. So rain gear, for example, doesn't matter really what brand you buy. So you can buy a really expensive raincoat or a cheap raincoat, and they both tend to wear out within a year or two. And the reason why is because you know, they're waterproofed, obviously. And if you have a backpack on, you're going to wear away that waterproofing pretty quick. And to be honest, it is Colorado, and we do get a little bit of rain, but the rain happens so quick. It's not like the Northeast or Oregon or something where it just constantly rains on you. So I actually use my rain gear for more of a wind stopper. So don't spend a lot of money on it. Get a cheaper brand and then just replace it every 2 years. And then accessories, you know, you don't need to spend $70, $80, $90 on a headlamp. There are $10, $15 headlamps that work just fine for what you probably need. And, you know, the needs are basically hiking in the morning, early morning until sunrise, or some sort of emergency situation. So if you get just a headlamp, a basic one with extra batteries, you should be in good shape. I would recommend using trekking poles. So the ones that have clips on them, not twists. Those things are awful, and they tend to break. I use black diamonds for those, and I'll show you those in a second, but make sure you use trekking poles. Well, I recommend trekking poles. They save your knees on the way down, and on the way up, they distribute your weight pretty evenly, so you don't get too tired in your legs. And also, kind of a phenomenon with that is if you've ever had fat fingers, it's when the blood rushes to your fingers. And if you have trekking poles, it elevates them, and you won't get fat fingers. Then you need a survival kit. Make sure you go check in your bag right now. Make sure you have some sort of survival kit, and I'll show you the components of those in a few minutes. And then always bring a paper map. Electronics are nice. It's nice to have internet and download some things, but paper always beats electronics for sure. Make sure you get specialized gear. So if it's early season condition, microspikes and crampons are huge. In Colorado, you will get sunburn, so sunscreen and the sun hat are a must, along with sunglasses, which I forgot to put on here. Helmet is super important, and make sure you buy a decent one. Don't go cheap there either. And then I can show you a couple ways to waterproof your gear as well. And just a reminder, there is a full checklist within the members area for day hiking and backpacking. So we're only going to be covering day hiking right now, but it is there for you. Okay, let's start off with clothes. So what I do is I always dress in layers, and I make sure I wear breathable clothes. So what I actually wear all the time are hiking shorts. And, I don't actually put brands of hiking shorts here because everybody has a different preference, or brands of really anything. So, get whatever is comfortable for you. I would just recommend that you don't get anything that will absorb water like cotton or anything like that. So get some, stretchy hiking shorts, or I actually use mountain bike shorts when I hike. So whatever's comfortable for you. So I wear hiking shorts, and then when it's warm, I wear hiking socks, just regular low-cut Hanes hiking socks. I don't go out and I don't buy wool socks, but that's completely up to you. I use a wicking t-shirt, which is just, for those of you who don't know what wicking material is, it's very light, fibrous material that just basically takes away moisture from your skin. They have it at any Target or Walmart even has wicking t-shirts. You don't need to go buy $100 shirts for that. Then I wear a fleece, sun hat, bandana. I carry a pair of light gloves with me, a light hat, and a wind jacket. So this is really for warmer temperatures. So these are my base layers too. So when it gets colder, I actually still wear hiking shorts, but I either wear a spandex bottom. So if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see like on the bottom portion, quick dry shorts, spandex, or if it's a little bit warmer, I'll wear soccer socks. So I have kind of a combination type thing. Then a wicking tee, a fleece, a winter hat, light heavy gloves. Whoops, I have winter hat on here twice, but I think you get the point. Puffy coat also, which I don't have in the picture, but that's super important. And then rain and wind layer, and also a face warmer. So, just play around with combinations. And the big takeaway from this is breathable, lightweight layers and stuff to keep you warm. And if you have a good backpack, you're going to be able to put all this, put all the stuff in there basically that you don't need. So what I really try to do is I try to start off hiking. This is important, where it's if it's cold in the morning, that's okay. Like I'll just wear shorts because I know it's going to get warmer. So what you don't want to do is pile all this stuff on at once, and then all of a sudden you're hot after 3 minutes. You got to change clothes, and then your base layers are all getting soaked through with sweat. That's not a good situation. So try to dress a little lighter to start off with. And if you get cold, and if you're staying cold, then add layers as you go. That's my recommendation. But just play around with these layers, and eventually you'll definitely get it. Okay, so rain gear, like I said, you do not need to spend a lot of money. I would recommend spending only $25 to $50. They last 1 to 2 seasons, and like I said, they're better off as a wind stopper. And really any brand. I have a Marmot brand on here, but really any brand will work. And just throw it in the bottom of your backpack. You won't need it that often, in my opinion. Okay, so there's a big debate between using trail runners and hiking boots. Okay, so I'm going to talk about both, and I'll talk about the pros and cons of each one. I use trail runners because that's my preference, and these are actually the pair that I use. So I use Brooks Cascadia. That's what I would recommend for those of you who like Brooks shoes. And actually, I got these. Like I said, I got these actually professionally fitted. And it's worked out pretty well for me. But you are going to spend some money, $100 to $20 on trail runners, and they actually increase as well. But that's where I found to spend the right amount of money. Pros is they're lightweight. Obviously, they're easy to dry. So if you do step in a water puddle or something like that, or a river, they're going to dry a lot faster than boots, and you can take the sole out and everything, and dry them quicker that way too. And then they're easy to break in, they're easy to pack, and they're good for micro spikes. Maybe a little bit better than boots, depending on the type of boots you have. Also, just as an aside note here, if you are going to get trail runners, do not buy the ones with Gore-Tex, because you're going to just be wasting your money on Gore-Tex. So they're low cut. These trail runners will be low cut, and they'll have Gore-Tex. And what happens if you step in a puddle or a river is you'll get water inside of them, and you can't get the water out, because they're Gore-Tex. They're meant to repel water. So they're going to keep them inside the shoe. And if you get regular shoes, that water will soak out pretty easily. And they'll make your feet really hot too. So summer conditions, all you need is trail runners, in my opinion. The cons is they definitely wear out quicker. So I go through maybe a pair a year, and they're not good in good snow. They're not good in deep snow, obviously, and they can't hold a crampon. And I'll show you what a crampon is later. And like I said, I prefer Brooks. If you do get a boot, there's all different types of boots, and I suggest you go get them professionally fitted. The ones that I use, and I only use them in snow, in deep snow, are called Kalins, and they come with a built-in gaiter, and they also have quick laces, and they're very strong, very durable. I've had mine for like 7 years now, and I only wear them on certain occasions. But if you are looking for a hiking type boot that's a lot less aggressive than this, Solos are pretty good, and there's Keens that are pretty good as well. But this is more of like a mountaineering type boot. So they're great in snow. They hold a crampon, and if you have bad ankles, they hold up your ankles. So I would, if you have bad ankles, I would definitely suggest wearing a boot with upper ankle protection. If you don't, I would not recommend wearing boots. I would recommend, in summer conditions, I would recommend wearing hiking shoes. The cons are they're definitely heavy, so they're hard to pack, and they're just heavy on your feet. You definitely get more tired quickly, and they're super expensive. So these are, I actually think I want to say that I paid more for these. Maybe these are $400 boots, but the hiking option boots range between $200 and $300. So those are the boots versus hiking shoes. You're going to need a good backpack for day hiking. And so I would recommend getting a 20 to 30 liter pack, and that should hold all of your stuff. If you're putting more stuff in there, you're taking too much, in my opinion. So that should hold everything you need, unless you're doing a bunch of technical climbing, which I can show you a different pack here in a second. But for just day hikes, standard hiking, up 14ers, up peaks, without technical type equipment, all you need is a 20 to 30 liter pack max. And those will cost you about $120 to get a good one. And some good qualities of a hiking pack is no mesh, no major Velcro. These will both break and rip pretty easily. Holds a water bladder. So on the right hand side here, you'll see a water bladder. Plenty of zip pockets. I should also add that it should be pretty streamlined, so it should look pretty neat. That means it is. It should hold an ice axe, so this one does, and at least one pocket for quick storage, which it has in the back here. And then, I actually have a Camelback that I use for my smaller pack, and I find it to be amazing. I use it for hiking, I use it for mountain biking, I use it for small climbs. So that's what I would prefer. There's a bunch of different types here. This is the 14 or 20. There's like I said, there's a couple different brands. So go in, get it fitted, and come out with a pretty good 20 to 30 liter pack. This is what I call my technical pack, and I use Osprey. I think Osprey is the best thing for backpacks maybe ever. You're going to pay a little bit more, so you're going to need a technical pack, and I call it a technical pack because I use it for rock climbing. I use it for backcountry skiing. So whenever you need more equipment and more versatility in your backpack, this is what you take. And I actually use this for backpacking as well. So this says 32 ounce on here. So I obviously didn't get the right picture, but you want a 30 to 50 liter. And I actually have a 52 liter Osprey. So that's what I use, and you can cinch it down pretty easily. But the same types of things apply. No mesh, no Velcro, holds a water bladder, plenty of pockets, holds an ice axe, holds a rope, so you want to have pockets on top, holds skis on the side, which this one does, and it holds a helmet. So plus all the rest of your gear. So you definitely obviously need a bigger pack for when you do some technical stuff. So I would recommend getting 2 packs if you're going to get into all this stuff. Get an Osprey and get a Camelback. That's what I use, and you should be good to go for just about every adventure. Water bladders, like I said, are super important, worth their weight in gold. I would just go ahead. There's different capacities. There's 1 liter, there's 2 liters, there's 3 liters. For what you guys are doing, what everybody's doing, hiking, camping, backpacking, I would get a 3 liter because you can always fill it less, right? And it doesn't take up that much space if you can cinch it down, and the weight isn't a big difference. Now, if you're doing like ultra runs, if you're doing like smaller specialized type stuff, get a 1 liter pack for whatever you need. But for everyone else, I would suggest that you need a 3 liter capacity. So I use a Geiger rig water bladder, and I actually have these available if you guys want them on. I get them for wholesale deals. So let me know if you do need one. But basically, the Geiger rig is cool, and water bladders like this are really cool because they have the standard bite valve and everything. Then this has an open top. So whatever you get, make sure you get the one with an open top. So this thing slides back and forth, basically, and you can actually reach your whole hand inside and pull out the innards and clean it. That's super important that you can clean it. So you might have to replace, this bite valve every once in a while and this hose because it might get kind of grimy. But if you can clean the inside of this, that's the most expensive part of the pack. The rest of it is pretty cheap. And then what's cool about the Geiger rig is it's also pressurized, so you can actually squeeze this a couple times. It'll pressurize the whole system, and this will actually jet water out. So this is an upper end type thing, but you can also get some lower end things too. But these are the types of qualities you want to see in a water bladder. Sun protection, and I'm using a plug on my own hat here, but that's okay. You want to make sure, you don't need to spend a lot of money, $20 maybe, for all this stuff. So sunscreen, for sure, I would recommend SPF 50. You can go higher than that, and it turns into like a paste, and that's totally cool if that's what you want. But I wouldn't use anything under 50. And then you got to reapply, every hour or so. Underneath your nose, make sure you get in between your fingers, your ears, and your neck are a pretty big one. Then get some lip balm, a hat. So there's all different types of hats. I just wear a standard, trucker baseball hat. It's got mesh on the back, so it keeps everything cool. But there are specialized hats that you can get that are wicking material that cost, a bunch more. I always keep a bandana with me, put it on the back of my neck if it gets too hot, and I just attach it to my backpack as needed. And then obviously sunglasses are really important. And I will say that if you are hiking across snow for a considerable amount of time, all this stuff is 10 times more important because the reflection from the sun off the snow will burn your face very quickly. So if you do find yourself walking on snow, throw on the sunglasses immediately because you can get what's called snow blindness. And then make sure you're sunscreening your whole face pretty good. All right, so trekking poles. These are actually my favorite part of my hiking gear. What I use, I recommend Black Diamond hiking poles. And I would recommend only spending $85 to $100 max on them. You don't want to go any less because then you get really cheap type poles that won't last more than a year or two. But you don't want to get anything more than $100 because that gets into a little bit of overkill. So that's when you get into the carbon type ultralight gear. And if that's what you're into, that's cool. And obviously spend as much money as you want, but this is the sweet spot for pricing. I actually use mine for hiking, backpacking, and skiing, backcountry skiing. So these Black Diamonds, these blue ones, are really good. And let me just go through each component of this because it's super important. So first of all, these locking mechanisms are hugely important. So you can get 2 types of trekking poles, one with lockers and one with twist on and off. You do not want the ones with twist on and off because they have a spring inside, and you can easily overextend them and lose that spring, or they just break really easily. So these trekking poles are very easy to use. Every once in a while you might have to tighten the clamps, but if they do pop out, very easy to replace and very easy to adjust. So, and also obviously make sure you get fully adjustable. So make sure it's in 1, 2, 3 sections, the poles. And then make sure it has the loops here so you can use those every once in a while. And I like these because it has 2 sets of grips, so you don't need to adjust them all the time. And then the baskets aren't on here, but make sure you do get a set of baskets for snow. And then these have shock absorbers. So these, those I don't think are needed, but if you do want some extra absorption, that's totally up to you. And then, what you want to do when you get these is you want to extend these evenly on each segment. So, I use 110 centimeters. So I extend each one to 110 so they're even on all sides so they don't break. So that is the Black Diamond trekking pole. Headlamps, you don't need to go big here. Like I said, just spend $15 to $25 max. Princeton Tech has a pretty good one. And there's a couple other brands that have a pretty good one. Black Diamond's on the upper end. Very good headlamps as well, but these will do the same amount for you. Adjustable bands, make sure they're 100 to 200 lumens. You really a couple of these headlamps have like 7 or 8 different lighting modes. I've really only used 2. So one that's like a low light and one that's a full light. And I really don't think you need more than that. If you want to play around with it, that's totally up to you. And just make sure that the batteries, you're easily able to replace the batteries. Princeton Tech is a pretty good brand. So don't go expensive there, but do make sure you have one. I always have a headlamp. Map and compass. My main takeaway here is just don't overcomplicate things. Like, you don't need a very fancy compass. All you need is a very, very simple compass, and you need a map. Everything else is kind of gravy. Like, if you download stuff on your phone, that's great. Just know that if you're in the backcountry, you're not going to get cell phone reception a lot of times, and your phone can always die. So make sure you have a map with you and a compass. And if you do get a map, make sure you get tear-resistant one, kind of water-resistant, and Trails Illustrated has really good maps of the whole state of Colorado. A multi-tool, again, don't overcomplicate. I use a Gerber. And I use a very simple knife. You don't need to go super expensive here, $20 total for everything. You can go to any Walmart, any Target, and get multi-tools. You're not Rambo. You don't need anything like this to survive, really. So, yeah, but do make sure you have pliers. These are the most critical things. Pliers for fixing your trekking poles and just grabbing things and twisting them. Bottle opener for beers, obviously, afterwards, and whatever else you need. A screwdriver for tightening things, pry device. You're always going to need a pry device and a sharp knife. So those are the main components that you need that I've used. Extra stuff like scissors are, just bonuses. So that's the multi-tool and knife. Survival kit. Here is my survival kit. So this comes with sunscreen, which I talked about, fire starter, which is super important. There's all different types of fire starter. I use the lightning flame, which it's like a sawdust type material with matches inside of it and waterproof case. Super handy. I have those if you guys are interested. Toilet paper, whistle, headlamp, sunglasses, compass, tape, sharp knife, extra batteries. Zip ties are huge. If you have straps that break, these are super important. I use a multi-tool. This is kind of a fun multi-tool that I take with me, but it's got most everything. Between this multi-tool and this knife, I can do everything with it. It's got a pry bar and things like that. Emergency blanket. A lot of people forget about this. I think it's super important. When I was on longs, I actually used this to survive the night. So very important, very lightweight, very cheap. Wet wipes, a thing of Band-Aids that includes like blister type care. And then ibuprofen and whatever other medication you need, and a hand warmer. So basically, this survival kit is not meant to save anyone's life. As you can probably see here, when you get to that point, you're just carrying way too much stuff, I think. So this is meant to keep you somewhat comfortable on an overnight stay. And it's not meant to save a life or keep you outdoors for, 7-8 days. So this is really important to understand that. So that's my survival kit, and you can hodgepodge this together from different places like Target and things like that. Don't spend too much money on this. And then it's always evolving too. So you know, sometimes if you buy like a huge first aid kit, you're not going to use everything. So just I would start with this type of kit and then build from there or reduce from there. All right, helmet. So helmet you're going to need on class 3 and class 4 terrain, which I explained in an earlier kind of message what that was. But mandatory. This is absolutely mandatory. If you're skiing, if you're hiking on class 3 or class 4, if you're mountain biking, get a helmet. And this one is specifically for rock climbing. And rock fall. So basically, look for a helmet. The most common injury, one of the most common injuries, is rock fall. So make sure you have a helmet that absorbs from the top and not the sides. So there are differences. Talk to your person who fits your. Go to a professional basically, and or ask me, and I can help you a little bit more with that. But make sure you understand what kind of helmet you're buying. Black Diamond or Petzl, get name brands for this for sure. Do not go cheap on this. This is very important. Another nice bonus for these Black Diamonds, they hold a headlamp, which is really nice, and this is breathable too. And obviously make sure it fits correctly. That's super important. So take your time and research what helmets you want there. So now this is obviously a lot more specialized gear. So this is when you're going to need an ice axe and crampons for when you're hiking on in what's called couloirs or snowfields and things like that. Really, or you know, when it gets to ice. So this is what a crampon looks like. Not to confuse it with a microspikes, and this is a ice axe. Okay, not to confuse it with an ice tool. So these are for mountaineering. The ice tool is for ice climbing. So make sure you understand that. And I don't have a picture in that, but I can share that with you later. And then there's different types of crampons, but make sure you get the mountaineering type crampons. So mountaineering type crampons, mountaineering type ice axe. Make sure there's all different sizes of ice axes. Make sure it looks like this, and it's 20 to 30 inches long. There are very, very short ones. There are very long ones, but that's a nice intermediate one that you need. Like I said, crampons, make sure they have these spikes. They fit to boots and they don't fit to shoes. Make sure you have name brands, so Black Diamond or Petzl again for both of these. You do not want cheap stuff that would potentially break. And this doesn't have a lanyard on it, but make sure you buy a lanyard. It's just a piece of rope that attaches to your wrist. And make sure they fit correctly. So make sure your body type is within line with the height of this ice axe, and make sure this fits your boots. And you're definitely going to spend some more money on this. So $200 to $300 is what you kind of get into. And these are what microspikes look like. Okay, so these are, I think, amazing for hiking in the Front Range, and then on some real easy snow slopes. So, you know, sometimes I actually bring microspikes and crampons with me, depending on the type of outing I'm having. But for the Front Range stuff, these will help with ice. And also, you know, don't confuse them with crampons. They do have different sizes, so make sure you are getting the right sizes and make sure it fits over your trail runner or your boot. If you're using a boot and a trail runner, you're probably going to need 2 different sizes of these. But these fit better over trail runners and small boots. And like I said, it's easy for snow and easy ice. Okay, and then just the last thing I'll cover here is, you know, what you should drive. So in order to be self-sufficient and get to all the mountains in Colorado, you're going to need 4-wheel drive. Okay, so you can't go up to a lot of these places. There's a few that you can, but there's, you know, you don't want to take your Honda Civic with you on every single one because you're going to end up walking about an extra 10 miles, you know, for a lot of these hikes. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. But just so you know, there are 50% of the roads that to 14ers that require high clearance. So, you know, if you want to hike more, that's great. If you don't, if you want to go to the standard trailheads for some of these, you're going to need some sort of high clearance. And the reason why is because these roads in Colorado, to the 14ers, they change all the time. The conditions change. They get worse every year. Depending on the season, sometimes you get unexpected river crossings. Snow and ice are common. And so you need something that will get you out of a jam or get you up a road. And like I said, these roads get worse every year. So, for example, going up Grays and Torres, used to be able to drive up with just a two-wheel drive vehicle most of the way, and now they're so rutted. It's so rutted that it's required four-wheel drive to get to the top trailhead. And like I said, you had 48 miles for if you don't take your four-wheel drive vehicle to places. And then there's so the easiest drives are Bierstadt, Quandary, and Pikes Peak. Okay, so those all just have paved roads right up to the trailhead. You don't have to worry about ruining your car or anything like that. So if you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, those are the easiest ones to get to. The most difficult ones, and you can see on the right-hand side picture here, this is Como. This is Como Road, Lake Como Road on the way up to Blanca Peak. And so this is extreme four-wheel driving, obviously. So a lot of people have to hike most of the way, but I think you get the picture of what these roads can actually look like. And then Sneffel's Highline Trail is pretty bad as well. I actually drive an Xterra, which is really nice. It's kind of Tacomas and Xterras I think are the best vehicles. Tacomas are probably the best vehicles, standard vehicles. Xterra I think is just kind of right below that. But the Xterra has gotten me to a lot of places. It wouldn't get me up this road, obviously, but it gets me to most places I need to go, and I can also sleep in the back. It's flat. You can wash everything out. Tacomas are great, so you'll need a four-wheel drive vehicle to be self-sufficient. So anyway, that's basically all I had for gear. So hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks.